Good morning, everybody. How you doing? My name is Mike Simrod with Red Rebel Media, and wow, we are at episode 13. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been one of the great joys of my life to become kind of a talk show host and have different business leaders on and organization leaders on, and to discuss our community and get people together and bring people together. So today is a extremely important episode, and it's something that I wanted to do, and I'm so lucky to have the guests on that I have. It's we live in some troubling times, and I know what I'm good at. I play music, and I know media, and I'm good with some technology stuff, and so I basically want to offer my resources to these extremely prominent leaders in our community. So I want to welcome on right now the director of the Malone Community Center, John Goodwin, and who I just met today, and great guy, very powerful voice. And I also want to welcome on my friend Martha Florence, who's the president of the board at the Malone Center. So here they are. Hello, Martha, and hello, John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mike. Hi.
Can hear you.
Hello.
How you doing?
Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. So actually, let me, John, I'm going to take this off. Just one second. There we go. Okay. So, again, thank you so much for coming on. I guess I want to get started with, who you are. John, tell me about yourself.
Hello, my name is John Goodwin. I'm the executive director of the Malone Center. I've been in Lincoln since 1996 from Chicago. I moved here from Chicago. Worked in Lincoln Public Schools at Lincoln High, actually, for about 20 years. Coached high school football. Came over to the Malone Center of October of 2017 and been there ever since, helping to provide for our families and our community.
Thank you so much for being here today. Martha, I know you, but you tell everybody who you are.
Well, I'm Martha Florence. I have been a longtime community activist in Lincoln, and I've been associated with Malone Center since 1975. When I actually started working there, I was working as an intern and then got a full-time job, and have seen the evolution of Malone Center from the place we were on T Street, but it was originally the Urban League, and now the Malone that it is today.
So since 1955, this has been in our community, the Malone Center. Tell us about that history, and you've been with the center since 1975, so you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot of changes, positivity, bringing community together. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the history and how the Malone Center started.
Well, I can't be specific about how it started, but what I will say, when I joined the Malone Center, it was more of a community because it was a part of what was called the T Street area of Lincoln, and there were Black-owned businesses, there were homes, there were block parties there, and Malone was sort of the epicenter for the African American community. So that was one of the beautiful things, and that's why I was very excited to be a part of it. It was originally in a large school. It was a school that had closed. It was in a large school, and then we moved. The school was condemned because of various issues, and so then we operated very effectively out of a little house that was an upstairs and a downstairs. It was 1,200 square feet, and we ran 16 programs out of that 1,200 square feet of programs. So it was pretty impressive.
Wow.
And then we had a campaign, and we built the Malone Center that people know today. But we've been active in marches and missions and things in relationship to not only African Americans but people of color. Malone has been that legacy for many, many, many years.
So I'm just pulling the website up. For those out there, they can visit the maloncenter.org to check more information here. But it's a wonderful website, and it's full of incredible information. So I'm just going to bring this up and kind of show as we speak. That's incredible. So 1975 rolls around. How did you get involved with the Malone Center?
I did it as a sociology project. I went over there as a sociology project and was offered a temporary position. And then when I graduated from college, was offered a full-time position. And I took it. And then I worked there for a small period of time, about 2 or 3 years. And I was the truancy officer. So it meant that I went to people's homes to find out why their kids weren't in school. And so I got to know a lot of the community folks, community folks around that I actually still know today. But and then I worked very closely with LPS and the Lincoln Police Department at that time to figure out why kids weren't in school. So that was my role, and then moved on to other opportunities, but always maintained my connection with Malone and on the board. I've been on the board, off and on for a number of years, and I've been president of the board 3 times. This is my 3rd time.
Wow. So the Malone Center was responsible for Martha Florence. You almost say. Is that what you're trying to say?
You know what? I'm gonna give him a little credit. Yeah, sure. I'll give him a little credit.
Because you've done some unbelievable stuff, and it sounds like that's where you got your start. That's incredible.
Exactly.
Wow. That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you both coming on today. Lately, we've dealt with a lot as a community, and I just appreciate you coming on so much. But I do want to talk about kind of what's unfolding before our eyes, both negative and positive. And I've seen a lot of both. Everybody has. John, can you kind of take me through the past few days, the best you can, and talk about what your experience as a leader of this organization has done to you?
Well, it has affected me personally as well, because also my wife is a Lincoln police officer.
Oh, wow.
So she's the only African American woman that's on the police force. So we looked at it. It's been very emotional around in our house, as well as in the community. We've been dealing. A lot of people have been asking for a lot of answers. They want answers. They want answers. They're angry. They're a lot of emotions going on with the community and even in our families, looking for answers, wanting to know. What are we going to do about it, or what can be done, or if there's anything that can be done. I've reached out to, and I've spoken with the mayor, I've spoken with the chief, and they again, they're looking for answers. We together, when I say we, the Malone Center, Ishma, Valente, and the police department has come together and worked very hard in trying to come up with a plan, develop a plan to where we can move forward and hold police officers accountable for their action. What we don't want is for this to happen here in Lincoln, Nebraska right now. It's a hard time. The protesting and when we have a lot, when you're dealing with a lot of emotions, you have to sit back and try to analyze why you feel certain ways, and don't want to make decisions when you're angry, and you want to be able to really sit back and think things through. And I believe that we did that with the police department, and trying to put a plan and putting a plan in place to whereas we can hold each other and hold the police accountable for their actions and their duties. And so for the past week, it's been difficult. It's been some heated conversations. It's been some emotional conversations, a lot of emotional conversations in person and on the phone to really think this thing through. This is not it's something that we can fix in a day or 2 days. This is a long-term process. This is a life-term process, and we're working to reach the goal that we're trying to reach, and that's making sure that our community is safe and making sure they are protected and making sure the heart of the people are being heard.
Fantastic. Well, there's certainly, yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of emotion through conversations, even in my house, and with people that are close to me. And I understand. Yeah, it's a Martha. Tell us about the last few days for you, please.
It's taken me back. It really has taken me back to, because, like I tell people, this is not my first rodeo. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I've been marching for a very, very long time. My first year of school, I came here as a freshman, and that was the time of Sherdale Lewis, and I'd been here shortly six weeks, and found myself in jail. Oh, what happened? So I was marching on behalf, and found myself arrested, which my mother wasn't very proud of. But that started my ability to for causes and for the right for people. So I'm oftentimes trying to think of, is this different? This feels different. I'm hoping this is different, but I'm not sure, and I'm wondering if it's because of COVID, and most of us were in our homes on Memorial Day, and most of us, we don't have like athletic events. We can't go to bars, and we can't go out, and we can't do things. So our attention was focused on this particular event with George Floyd. So what's in the dark oftentimes comes to the light. And I think that's how I'm seeing this, that these things have been going on for many, many years, but now people are able to, the general public, and we've known it as a community, but the general public is able to see it. So it's I've been thinking about, what are the messages behind this, what historical things that have happened behind this, how and I'm now considered an elder, which I'm still working with that one. But what my role is in the area of civil rights, because I've been involved with civil rights from a very small child in like the March on Washington, which I was 6 years old at the time. So, it's a lot has gone through my head, and but I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful, but I'm still very kind of hopefully pessimistic as to what's going to happen.
So the agreement with LPD, can we talk a little bit about that? I watched the live stream, and I will say there's been some fascinating live streams by our youth that have been so incredible to tune into, and what our youth is doing with protesting has been incredible to watch. But please talk about, John, if you could, just for a minute, about the LPD agreement and what was discussed at the Malone Center the other day.
So basically, this agreement, it took some days. A lot of people ask, why did you didn't, when this first happened, why it was a quick response? Because it takes longer than when we're planning something and we want this thing to be a success. We have to really think things through. And so it took a process. This was a process that we brought together first with one of the officers, the chief in Ishma, and myself, to where they worked very diligently on putting this plan together. Once we laid out everything, and once everything was laid out, then we began to put not just things in paper on paper, but to be able to make sure we are covering all issues and everything that we need to make sure that this thing is to move forward with no hiccups. And so we had to strategically do this in the right way, to whereas we cannot afford to go backwards. We have to continue to go forward. So once it took about 3 to 4 days, Ishmael worked Ishmael worked very hard on this as well with Luke as one of the police officers there, and then the chief, a lot of phone calls. What you saw around that table the other day was community leaders, as well as the police, LPD, the sheriff, myself, and Ishma. We were there everything was already written out, everything was already done, but we wanted to share it with the community leaders and discuss it to make sure that we're not missing anything and that we're hitting on every area. And to everybody, and for everyone around that table to understand exactly what this message is and what we're trying to get across. Once that was established and everyone agreed upon that, then we were ready to take it out to the community and share that as well. But we all have to be on the same page, and this would have not happened, never have happened if it wasn't the relationship that was built already with LPD and the Malone Center, and a personal relationship with Ishma, one of the guys there, Ishma, that's helping with this, and the chief of police. I mean, so based on our relationships and the trust that we have with each other, we were able to come up with something solid, come up with a solid game plan to continuously move this ball in the right direction, and to bring some sort of not closure, but some peace and some understanding in moving forward, and to make sure that we are able to hold the police, not just us, but the police, the chief, the mayor, to hold the police officers accountable for their actions. And so with that, it came with a multicultural advisory board, which we are putting together right now. And that board will be released. The names of that board will be released next week. And our first meeting will be June 20th. And those, some say, well, why wait so long? We have to, again, pick the right people to be on this multicultural advisory committee. We cannot rush this. This is something that you just can't rush. You really have to take your time and think through and get the right people and the right minds around the table so we can address these issues. And so that meeting, the first meeting that we have, is going to be longer than 2 hours, I imagine. And so because we really need to focus on what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go and get the message out. And again, we don't have room for error. We don't have room for fumbles. We this is very critical. And so we're trying to move that ball down the field effectively as we can. And so once we got everything in place around the table, they signed on it, we all agreed on it, we shook on it, and we was able to go outside and tell the community what we have. That way we're holding all of us, every last one of us that came out is accountable for this agreement.
Fantastic. And it was a very powerful moment, very powerful stream. There's been a lot of incredible streams going on online, and I kind of want to, I do appreciate your leadership. Can we talk a little bit about leadership in this city? I know that when I was watching a stream the other night and the mayor showed up at the protest, I thought that was a very powerful moment. What did you think about that? John, if you could.
For me, that is huge to do. I think she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to come out and talk to the people. She could have stayed in her house. She could have stayed in her office. She could have snuck out and went another way to go to where she was trying to go. But she felt that she had to, because our conversations that we have had together, she hears the people. She's looking for answers. Not saying that I had all the answers when I was talking to her, but she's looking for answers to make this thing right. And when a person is seeking knowledge, it's our job to do the best we can to give her that knowledge and to give a person that knowledge to help in the cause and help in the situation. And if she didn't care, she wouldn't seek. So it's something that she is working very hard to try to fix. And again, this is not a short-term process. And for her to get out and talk to the community and talk to the protesters, I felt that was moving in the right direction and where we're trying to go.
I feel like that needs to happen on a national level. I don't like to get political with any program that I initiate, but I feel that communication, positivity, and regrounding yourself with this whole thing is important. Martha, what do you think about that?
I think that one of the important things about Lincoln, number one, we're very fortunate to have the police chief we currently have, and the mayor that we currently have, because they both quote unquote get it, and they understand the value and the need for transparency. And I think we're being watched. Lincoln, Nebraska has now gained like national recognition for some of the things we're doing. And on an aside, the actual contract is on the Malone webpage and the Malone Facebook page. So if people want to go and see that, they can do that. But we're working very hard to make progress, and we can't do it in silos. Everybody wants to do something. So I think one of the beautiful things about this and about Malone kind of being touted as or notified as the spearhead is that we're working as a collective this time. Oftentimes people will do things in the area of diversity and inclusion, but they'll do it on their own level. They'll do it at their own comfort level. They'll do it within their own cultural lenses and their own cultural biases. This time people are willing to say, okay, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone to make a difference. So hopefully, my hope is that there will not be silos this time. There will be a clearinghouse. There will be an advisory board. There will be folks that coordinate this. I've already gotten calls from folks that say, what can I do? And people are starting to hold conversation salons in their homes, diversity and inviting people, because one of the charges is, go out and reach and meet somebody that you don't know, and people are saying, okay, well, I don't know anybody. How do I find these people, or how do I have people that I can have conversations with? And Malone has been that catalyst for a very, very long time. We can continue to do that. So, but I really think that with the leadership that we have now in our city, we will progress.
Fantastic. John, this isn't the first time we've experienced something like this. So why is the death of George Floyd different? Why are we seeing this over and over again? And why all of a sudden do we see this incredible historic thing happen in front of our eyes because of George Floyd?
I think sometimes when things happen over and over and over again, say if it happens once, if it happens twice, you're like, okay, it has some effect, it has some impact on you, but it doesn't hit you right away. I agree with Martha of being in the house and not being able to go anywhere, really focus ourselves to TV, to television, to the news. This incident that happened, it caused a reaction of, I'm tired, I've had enough. And when a person is tired and had enough, they begin to act on that. And so what you're seeing in the protests, the peaceful protests and everything else that's going out there is people who are tired and had enough, and they need to see something different. Because if they don't see something different, it's going to drive them crazy. This is making me miserable. I'm tired of the talk. I need to see action, and I need you to hear me. And what these marches are doing, and what the march is doing, and what the protest is doing is opening up people's eyes, is saying, okay, hear us. We're fed up. Do something about it, and we want something done now. Now may mean in the next couple of weeks. It may not mean right now, like this second, but we're tired of waiting until next year and the year after and months and months and months. You say you're going to do something, we expect it done. And when a person dies at the hands of the police, which the police should be our protectors. The police are working for us in the community. They used to be called peace officers. They bring peace to the situation. Then it causes an urgency and a problem for us to quit. So now we're how can we trust them now? How can we go out now and do and expect to come home? And I mean, I have a family, and when you look at it on the police side, they have a family as well. And everybody don't have that heart. All the police officers, they don't have that heart for the people. I know those who have, but I've also had my own experiences as well, growing up and even here. But that, those experiences did not change the fact that, hey, they have a job to do and we have a job to do. And we both want to go home as individuals to our families. So this right here has caused action. People were already fed up about COVID. We already at home and can't go nowhere and wearing a hot mask over our faces, and we frustrated about that. We can't go to the stores and can't go to the restaurants and can't go get a drink with your buddy. So we already at home confined with people we probably don't get along with in the first place. That's why we out the way we are to keep relations stronger. And so now we're out there. Now we see it, and now it's like, nope, that's it. Nope, I had enough. I've had enough. It's time to do something about it. And that's why we're seeing it a little bit more in my perspective. I'm not saying that that's all facts, but in my opinion, that's why I see. That's how I feel. Because I felt that way. I felt that way. This is it. I've had enough. Enough is enough. I understand mistakes, and cops make mistakes. They're human. I understand error. There's room for error. I get it. That happens. It happens. It's life. But to continuously happen and to see it happen and not see anything done about it, then that causes a heavy concern and something that needs to be addressed right away. And people are just fed up. We fed up at the point that we haven't seen this addressed. And again, it goes to leadership. Leadership. I mean, where's the leaders? Where's the leaders? And so they're like, okay, where's the leadership on this? Needs to happen right away, because if this was another person, if the sides was flipped, then we know something will happen right away. And so they want fair treatment. We want fair. We want to feel fairly. We want to feel that we have those same rights, and we're not treated differently than everybody else. And so I understand that pain. I understand that frustration. But at the same time, through that pain and that frustration, as we embrace it, we have to sit back and understand, okay, we have to have a plan in action to move forward to make sure that things like this don't happen again.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I think.
Go ahead.
I think we have become oftentimes complacent with institutional racism. We just kind of say, oh, okay, yeah, it is what it is. And we go on because as young people, as children, we've been taught this is what you do. You have to be better than anybody else to be successful. We're taught that from a very small age, very young age. White parents don't often tell their kids that. They don't have to, when they get their driver's license, they don't tell them what happens when if you should get stopped by the police. Your hands go on, was it 10 and 2, and you don't do anything until you're told what to do. We're told how to act. We're told that you have to be better than the person next to you, the white person next to you. We're told that if you want to be a success, you have to go above and beyond. We're told that you to be I can't think of the word, but we work between both worlds. We work between two worlds, so we can code switch. Code switch is a term. If you are effectively at being a code switcher, then that'll make you more successful. Those are the things that we're taught that white parents don't have to teach their kids. So I think it's important that people understand, because they're like, well, what do you mean? Because John was talking about, we're tired. Well, why are you tired? Tired of what? Well, we've been doing this for a very long time, for 401 years. So it's like, since 1619, we've been doing this same thing and always hoping that there will be a better result. And I do think that with this particular video, this gentleman, has changed the world simply because it's kind of like, okay, I'm done. I'm just tired. I'm tired of being at home. I'm tired of being hot. I'm tired of having a mask on. I'm just tired. And this kind of just jutted it above. But we've been taught this stuff over and over and over. We've done the lessons. We've done what we thought we're going to be successful. And we've not had the results that I think that most of the folks have thought were going to happen.
So I've been consistently surprised and proud of our young community. Can you talk about, John, the leadership in that young community and how they're grasping onto these protests? And I mean, it's been amazing to see them separate the rioting and the looting from the peaceful protest, and when that begins, or if it begins, they shut it down, and they want everybody to know that these are peaceful protests and there's a mission here, there's a goal. I've been so proud to see that. Can you talk a little bit about the young community leaders that we're starting to see sprout up?
It's nice to see students that you have seen through walk the halls through Lincoln High step up and be a leader. And there's a lot of leaders, young leaders that came from out of that school, out of Lincoln High School, that I've seen stand firm. What they did, what they have done, that some have not done. That's why it's peaceful, is that they have really educated themselves on history, on where this came from, why is it the way it is, why did they go through when they went through back then in those years. They educated themselves on history and brought it into today and said, okay, it's more technology now, we're more advanced now, how can we use these same that passion that they had, the emotions that they, how can we use that in today? And so today, bringing it to today, and some of those students, or I still call them students, but young adults, have shown is remarkable. And they're continually, we've had meetings with them at the Malone Center. I know Ishma sat with them for about 2 hours the other day, discussing the next moves, and for them to understand why we're doing what we're doing with the police. And again, it's all about relationships, and it's all about educating. And that's I'm really glad to see our young people educating themselves, wanting to be educated by others. And that's opening your mouth, talking to people, and asking those tough questions, sitting around the table, having those tough questions, and receiving those tough emotional answers. And from there, they base that and says, this is why we want to march. You know, I can't speak for all of them because all of them don't know why they're marching. But this is why the positive protest, this is why they're marching, because they have a cause, they have a mission, they have a purpose. And that purpose too is to also lead into the plan that we have with the Malone and the police department have created and developed, to whereas we can move forward in where we're trying to go in this process.
Fantastic. Martha, what have you seen happen with our young leaders in the past few days?
I've been excited. And what really excites me is the diversity of the folks that have stepped up to the plate, because we've not always seen that. But we see a variety of young people from, all areas, all races, and they all educational levels. And I think it's interesting because I was seeing a little girl the other day, and she said, no justice, no peace. She had a little sign on the Saturday rally that was in front of the Capitol. And I thought, that's interesting. So I asked her, I said, you know what that means? Or, just wanted to know if her parents had just handed her a sign, said, carry this sign. And no, she was very articulate about, we need to, it was very simple. We need to be nicer to people, and we need to love people, and we need to have bigger hearts. And I thought, oh, okay. So that, to me, that gave me a lot of hope. And I'm really excited about the young people that have stepped up, and that I'm hopeful that they keep it up. That's and like I said, I'm a hopeful and pessimist, but I'm excited about the diversity that I've seen, the encouragement that I've seen, and then when people have gone out and tried to loot, they've said, no. This is about peace. This is about making a difference. And they see the difference between rioting and looting and actually marching for a purpose.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add, either one of you? I there's so much to talk about, and there's so many things to say, and you've said so much, and I just appreciate you being on the program.
I'd like to say one thing I'd like to say, Mike, is that for all, especially the message to the young people who are eligible to vote, do your part. You've got to vote, because That's, people say, well, the system is broken. The system is not broken. The system was designed like it is. And if you're going to change the system, the voting is the first method to get there. And so regardless of who you like as far as a candidate, you might think, the current Democratic person is not, he's old, he's cracked, but he's there to make a difference. And I do believe that folks need to, if you really believe in something, you need to make your voice heard. And the quickest way to make your voice heard, the strongest, is through a vote. Get folks you don't agree with out of the mix, and get people that you do agree with, that you think will do the best for your community and your world in the mix.
I agree. John, do you have any closing words for us today?
I totally agree with Martha. 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the officer held his knee on that Mr. Floyd's neck. 8 minutes and 46 seconds changed the world. 8 minutes and 46 seconds changed the world. And so when we're talking about voting, don't forget about the census as well, because we lose a lot of money in our community if you don't fill out census forms. Educate yourself. I don't know how many times that when I had someone come to me the other day and they say, what can I do? I said, when is the last time you asked your friend from a different race, their culture, where they come from, who were their great grandparents? We don't talk that way. I mean, I have good friends, best friends, but I never ask them about their culture. Educate one another. Become knowledgeable about other people's cultures and how they were brought up. And because 8 minutes and 45 seconds can do this, think of a positive way that 8 minutes and 46 seconds, as each person, if we take that amount of time, what we can do in that time.
Very powerful words today. Thank you so much to the both of you. This platform is kind of unfolding before my eyes. Like I told you earlier, I've always been a huge fan of Johnny Carson and these talk shows, and growing up in Norfolk, Nebraska. Johnny's from Norfolk. So I've somehow went from media company owner to making websites, graphic design, and whatever else, to all of a sudden being, interviewing our great leaders in our city. And I'm so lucky. Thank you so much. But I'm happy to help get the word out and the voice out. So I just thank you both so much for joining me, and I implore those listening to donate to the Malone Center for all you do. It's incredible. And that link is below. It will be on the stream, and it'll also be all added into the post as well. So you do some great things, and I just want to say keep it up, and much love to the both of you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Hope to talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's that, folks. Thank you so much. Let the voice in our community be heard. That's why I wanted to do this in the first place, and I'm happy to do what we did today. Send peace and love around to the community, and thank you so much for joining. Take care.